In this seventh chapter, I would like to open also the discussion to a new topic, which is landscape. So far, we've been discussing urban design, something about cities, a lot of architecture, but I believe that landscape, it's a very important topic, and this context of sustainability and resilience will be a good place to introduce it. Landscape is a field that is expanding and growing in its importance. We have landscape urbanism, we have landscape architecture. So landscape is much more than designing a park or a garden or a public space. Landscape really has the ability to control the regional scale and is the interface between architecture or the built environment and the natural environment on the other side. The problem of sustainability affects some countries more than others. For example, there are countries that are more unsustainable than others, as for example the United States, which consumes 10 times more than the average person in the world. Or countries as China, for example, where we have the heaviest manufacturing in the world. China is really currently the factory of the world, where most of the products that we all consume today are being made. China, because of this very high consumption, needs a lot of energy, which is unfortunately produced by unsustainable means, as for example burning coal and other fossil fuels. And the pollution in there, it's completely unsustainable. There are places where you cannot breathe, places where you cannot drink the water. This is why I would like to show you an interview that I did with a colleague and friend from China, Kong Jianyu, a founder of the Turenscape Office for Landscape and Urban Design, and also Dean of the School of Architecture at Peking University in Beijing. His office, Turenscape, specializes in landscape architecture, and Kong Jian and his team have developed the so-called security pattern for China, which is essentially a strategy according to which some areas of China have to be protected because they're in danger of landfalls or floods. So it's really the first time when this environmental approach is applied to China, and eventually has a big impact on entire communities. His work focuses on an integral approach of thinking about the environment and landscape, both as an educational, as ecological, and as aesthetic approach. So I invite you to see his interview and to follow the discussions after that.
So I think it's as in China we have so many problems, water problems, food problems, issues of land resources, issues of energy. 70% of surface water being polluted in China, underground water dropping everywhere, and the pollution, of course. So what's the strategy? What is this strategy? The strategy is to have, it must be a special strategy and also a special design strategy. So it's a planning strategy and design strategy for my profession, Turenscape. So we are looking for a new alternative of infrastructure. We call it ecological infrastructure. Which means we have to design ecological infrastructure as an alternative to the grey infrastructure. The pipelines, highways, power lines. We need a new infrastructure in order to have a new kind of living style, new kind of urban form, new kind of space. So the first strategy is to plan for a new ecological infrastructure by combining all this ecological process to secure the ecological process, so that the services provided for the city will be free instead of so expensive services provided by this grey infrastructure. And this ecological infrastructure must be designed and planned across the scale. From the national scale, we call it ecological security pattern. You know, the watercourses, rivers, wetland, greenways. That will provide the ecological security for the nation. And that's what we have been done for the past 10 years in China. Turenscape has been done for 10 years in China. We have done this national scale ecological security patterns. And this planning, this strategy become a national agenda to protect the national ecological security. And the second strategy will be a new kind of aesthetics, new philosophy, new aesthetics. I call it ecological aesthetics, and big feet aesthetics. Instead of this ornamental aesthetics, all design should have a new criteria for what is beautiful. I call it big feet aesthetics. Low maintenance, how to make messy nature beautiful, storm water management, water, pollution treatment by ecological process. Use ecology as a process, an ecological system as a way to deal with our environment. So in Turenscape, we have a series of projects deal with water cleansing, like Hotan Park, like in Shanghai, we design the park as a living machine, use all these native plants, and also as a park could be productive. So when the heavily polluted water was pumped out and then run through this parkland, the nutrients in this water will be taken by the plants. So water can be cleansed by this ecological process. So the park's green space will become a producer of instead of a consumer. As we normally, urban green space will be a consumer of energy, of water, of labor. But in our design, in our park, we design this green space as a producer of food, of clean water, and of energy. And how can make this ecology also beautiful? That's called big feet aesthetics. So these are two strategies we've been applying for our design and planning projects in China. And Turenscape, in the past 10 years, we have finished many of these kind of projects, from the rice paddy campus in Shenyang to the water cleansing park in Shanghai, and the storm water management park in Harbin, which we use the park to manage storm water. Right? So the design to make a sustainable city, we have to make to use the ecological process, to make use of the ecological process to provide the ecological services. And the meaning of design is to make a free use of nature's services, instead of invest so much energy and labor and material to build this unsustainable grey infrastructure. And this green infrastructure or ecological infrastructure not only provide a new form of city, a sustainable city, but a new way of living, a new lifestyle, a new aesthetics, and eventually a new culture, which we call ecological civilization. Was that good?